Hello, everyone, and welcome back to
We're back.
Lovers of Law. We are the lovers, and not just of law. We also love each other.
We do.
We do.
For now.
Oh my god! Oh my gosh!
No, I was just being silly because it's like
No,
the
that's
show.
funny.
By the end of the show, who knows if we want to kill each other.
Oh my gosh!
Forever.
No, I love it. I
For now,
love it.
forever.
Today, now and forever. Now and forever. Today, we are going to be talking about episode 3 of ARCANE, which almost serves as a, don't want to put words in your mouth, but a little bit of a finale to Act 1
No, yeah, it does have that vibe.
of the story. So, Ari,
sure.
are you ready to take us through
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
episode 3?
I'm ready. The title of this episode is The Base Violence Necessary for Change, which is very fitting for this episode, I would say.
Very.
I think this episode, like you said, is like the perfect kind of wrap up to if we're doing like a 3-act structure, this is the end of Act 3. And obviously those of us that have seen
Act 1.
Oh, I'm sorry. The end of Act 1.
Yeah.
And obviously those of us that have seen the show already know that this is the last we're going to see of the kids or them as kids, basically. Yeah. So this episode opens with, I'm assuming this is a woman singing. It sounds like a female voice. And then we see that someone is like drowning in the middle of literally the deepest water you could ever imagine, like the deepest ocean. It's our big baddie. He is revealed within the subtitles. We see Silco in parentheses. So if you're watching with subtitles, you would see that this character is named Silco. But we still technically don't know his name.
Another benefit of in the Patreon reactions, we have a bit of a subtitles debate going on. And I will concede that is another point in favor of the subtitles.
Because you know who the characters are.
Learning characters' names and becoming familiar with character names. But carry on. Sorry.
It's fine. So our big baddie, Silco, we're kind of getting a glimpse into his origin story. So he's talking about what it's like to drown.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like going back and forth. So he's like, there's peace in the water, but then there's also this thing in your head that's raging. And it's very like, there's like is it like a visceral reaction? Like the way that they're filming it, it's very jarring.
Yeah.
Like he's calm and like floating in the water. And then it's like, like there's the madness.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like representing what that looks like as well with the shots.
Because it's almost like there's the far out of him just drowning. And then there's the actual reality of his flashback, which is the chaos,
where there's like someone else there. Yeah. So we see him like fighting for his life under the water because someone is holding him down below the surface. And then also I'm assuming that this is when he lost his eye because it's like very dark. Like there's a hole, like his eyeball is missing and there's like some blood streaming out of it. So I'm guessing this is when the eye was lost.
I'd say
as well.
that's a pretty safe guess.
Yeah. So in the end, he says that whatever this like attempted drowning was, changed him forever. And he says, "For that, I thank you, old friend."
Old friend?
And then we cut to the intro. And then
has
it's like
friends?
straight into the intro. Apparently. Not just goons.
I would never
Not just
guessed.
a scientist.
I thought he would just
This
had
guy's
goons.
got friends.
Oh, wow.
Well, he did. At least at this
old,
point.
I guess. Yeah, maybe not anymore.
Yeah. So after the intro, then we're back at Benzo's where Vi is awaiting her fate. Luckily, Vander and Benzo show up before the enforcers, thank goodness. And
Bit of a fake out.
Yeah. And Vander's like, we don't have much time. Vi's like, this was the only way. It was the only way to protect, the kids and stuff. And he's like, you have a good heart, but I'm not going to let you do this. Protect the family. And then she like realizes what he's trying to do. And she's like, wait, no, you can't go. Wait, what are you doing?
You're saying I shouldn't do this.
Yeah,
and
you
also shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
Equally.
Yeah. So then Grayson shows up and I think she says like, I'm guessing that's for me or like, is that for me or something like that?
Because she hears the ruckus in the back room.
Yeah.
Making.
Yeah. And then Vander's like, I can't let you take this kid. No. I'm going to turn myself in. And she's like, I'm not taking you. Then he's like, it has this little quip about, can he have like one last drink before he goes?
Yeah, one last smoke. Well, that's how
smoke.
That's how Marcus and Grayson realize they're taking him. Because Marcus moves to get past Vander to whoever's making a racket behind the door, which is Vi.
Yeah.
And then Vander's like, well, you'd allow a doomed man a one last smoke. And then they're like, wait, you?
Yeah.
Vander?
And so, yeah, she's basically like, why are you doing this? And Grayson, to be clear, Grayson's like, why are you doing this? And he's like, it's the only way. And we can still hear Vi like banging on the door. I'm guessing it's kind of like a cellar, what he put her in, because it has the window that is like out of the ground. So I'm just going to call it a cellar. I don't know if that's actually what it was. So yeah, he's just like, it's the only way. And then we're back in the cellar with Vi where like she's been locked up so she can't try to like get involved. And then she can see through the window that is leading to the street that someone attacks pretty much all the enforcers on the street and obviously Grayson.
Yeah.
So Grayson has been instantly killed by whatever this thing is. All the other enforcers, except for Marcus, have also been killed. So we've got Marcus, Benzo, and Vander, who are like visibly very concerned about whatever did this. Like there's blood all over the window that like Vi was trying to see, so she can't really see very well. But obviously she knows something very violent happened because the window's covered in blood.
Yes. It's not normal. Was not normally covered in fresh blood.
No. Yeah. So then the crazy thing to me was I was like, I guess Marcus, you're leaving Vander in these hands. I would be like, get out of these handcuffs Vander, immediately.
He's the biggest one there. And also has a history of being a very good fighter.
Yeah. So I'm like, why would you not get him out of those handcuffs as soon as possible? That was crazy to me.
I guess Marcus knows that Vander, that's the plan, right?
I guess that's true because he's in on whatever this is with Silco. But at this point, it already hasn't gone the way that he thought it was going to. Yeah,
because Marcus was going to arrest Vi, so maybe he's not in on that part. Because Silco is like, all the plans changed, so maybe...
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. Yeah. So Vander is like clearly upset, and he's like looking off into the fog to see because it looks like someone is approaching them. Sure enough, Benzo is the one that says Silco's name. Yeah. So Benzo is the one that names him. He's like, it's his first time we hear anyone say his name. He also calls him an animal. He's like, Silco, you animal. Yeah. And then he like tells him to go back and like crawl back into whatever hole he like came out of, which Vander is already.
Animal crawls out of holes? Rat.
Oh yeah, a rat.
And which animal was the metaphorical?
That's true, a rat.
Rat.
He really relates to the rats.
If he had an animagus, he would be a rat.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So we already know that Benzo really does not like Silco, and Vander's kind of trying to get him to like calm down because he doesn't want Benzo to like get too close to Silco. Like it's very clear, I think, that Vander is taking Silco seriously as a threat from immediately. He's just like, oh no, let's like try to keep our distance.
Vander must know Silco isn't the one who actually did the kill there.
No, I think
Vander has a sense that there's something.
Yeah, he's involved in whatever this like
he's involved in
it, thing
but he isn't
that just happened.
The monster that's
Yeah, he's not the monster, but he's like
he is the doctor,
the one controlling the monster. So Benzo goes for Silco, and then Deckard just like takes him out immediately. Again, I'm glad that like we don't really see it, but it clearly is a very like violent, immediate death. This is when we hear Marcus say, like, what the hell is going on? This was not part of the deal at all. Vander is, like, clearly in shock. And then Silco just says that the deal's changed. And then he, like, either drops a bag of gold or, like, hands a bag of gold to Marcus. I can't remember.
Literal, is blood money.
Yeah, gives him the blood money.
In a very literal sense.
Yeah, there's actually blood on it. And then Deckard just drags off Vander after like knocking him out. So from Vander's point of view, we get this really cinematic shot of him like falling to the ground and he sees Silco looking down at him. So we see kind of that like the tipping of that viewpoint. And then Vi through whatever blood is on the window, like can see that, you know, they're taking him somewhere.
Oh, her dad.
Gosh, this is episode 3, and it's her dad. I know, and he'd be the best dad.
Maybe the most
already
one,
her
right?
second like
she's lost one dad already.
Guardian, yeah. So it's like the third parent, if we're counting her mother that she's lost. So the next scene, we're back with Jace and Victor, and I was like, I said Vase. But I was like, what about Vice? Because
Vice.
Victor. So I was like, Vice is their ship name? Watch, there is a very obvious ship name that I just like don't know. Tell me their ship name. Seems like, well, someone probably would have, this is episode 3, so someone probably already told me like on the episode 2,
there must be an official one.
We're recording these ahead of time, so I won't see it, so don't hate me.
Jaketer.
Okay, Jaketer. Maybe. So it seems like they're getting closer to like cracking whatever the like perfect combo that they need to find is for this arcane gem. They call them gems.
The gemstones.
The gemstones.
Yeah.
But they don't have Jace's equipment. So Victor's like, I've got the keys. Let's do a little B&E. And so they're like, he's like, let's break into Heimerdinger's lab. At first Jace is like, what? No, we can't do that. Are you serious? There's no way.
No, you have the keys. Oh,
I don't know if we can do that.
It's the only way.
But Victor's like, do you think I just wanted to be an assistant? This is like the type of science that like I got into this business for. He's like, this could change the world. It could make the world a better place, which is always like the intention. Yeah. The intention is always to make it a better place, but it's like, sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. So Jace is, he's like, your hex tech dream or whatever, like, will make the world a better place. And then Jace very sweetly is like, our hex tech dream.
Oh, yeah.
They're in love.
They're already in love. Speaking like a couple, our dream, not just his.
So then I should say in this episode too, we go back and forth like a lot.
Yeah.
It's like
the
most like, it's like a table tennis match. Boop, boop, boop. So Echo opens up, we're back with, back in Zon with Vi. And Echo opens up the cellar that Vi was locked in and like comes down the stairs. He is very emotional, just like Vi is. And he's like, I saw everything. I saw it all. What they did to Benzo. And he like can't even like finish his sentence. So he is also just seen like his parent be like violently murdered, basically. And then Vi's like, where did they take him? Because he says like he saw them like take Vander. So then naturally, Silco took him to his lair. We were calling it the aquarium. It gets revealed that it's an old cannery. Which isn't as exciting.
No.
But yeah, so he's taking him to the cannery. Deckard is like throwing up. We're going to call it the purple drank instead of shimmer.
I had the realization that the purple drank, so it's not a permanent transformation.
Yeah, it's temporary.
It's like a temporary kind of.
But then clearly you're like,
but it causes damage.
Yes, so
it's like
internal
damage.
You do it once, and you might not be alive much longer. Like it's just kind of like a death sentence if you take it even once.
Because he's like spewing purple.
Yeah. So he's like throwing up the purple drank, and then the bald tattooed goon is like laughing at him. And I was like, they keep showing him. So they keep like kind of going to him as like the lead goon to just make you really hate him.
The lead goon.
Which we're going to remember why. I remember why in episode 4 when we were watching. I was like, oh, right. That's why they kept like giving him these little highlight moments. So you just really like hate him. And so Silco and Vander, they're basically having this like back and forth, obviously, while Vander is detained by Silco. And he's like, what about Silco, to be clear? Silco is like, what about this dream that we had? Like, we shared this dream, and apparently Vander betrayed Silco. So like at this point, it's pretty much confirmed that the person that tried to drown Silco was Vander. And then Vander ends up admitting that he's never forgiven himself for what he did to Silco. And then Silco has this like really intense bit where he's like, do you know what it's like when the river toxins and the filth eats through your nerves and mix? I was like, oh my God.
That's another thing that sounds like
so visceral.
Like he's rehearsed it like times
he's waited. Yeah, he's written in his diary this. He was like, it's like that. Sometimes your therapist will like say like give an exercise of being like, write as if you were going to write this letter to a person, but like you don't actually. He's written like 10 letters to Vander, and this is what it said.
I don't think Silco has a therapist. But.
No, just himself, him and the evil scientists. You know, when they have a couple drinks in them. So Vander's like, I've never forgiven myself for that, and Silco's like, you have no idea. You don't know what I went through with all those river toxins. And then he's like, yeah, you know what? I did hate you, Vander. I did hate you, but like I still respected you until you went and like became a lapdog for the enforcers.
Unforgivable.
And Vander's like, That was the only option really available to me because he just like obviously doesn't want anyone else to get hurt. So he's like, I had to make a deal, basically, is what Vander's saying. And then Silco thinks like now because they have the shimmer that there's like another chance, basically.
Yeah,
like
fight and have a chance.
He's like, it's going to be different this time. But Vander isn't really moved by this. It's clear that, which I was kind of surprised, like Silco clearly is kind of trying to get Vander to like work with him again almost.
Yeah, I reckon if Vander had been on board, maybe.
Yeah, it was really bizarre. I didn't expect that because I was like, oh, he just is going to like use him. But there was an exchange where he was like, I think he called him brother again. Like he was kind of trying to bring him in on the plan with Shimmer and stuff. So yeah, he's like clearly trying to bring him over back to his side again so they can like do it together. And then Vander's like, you can kill me, but like spare the kids and spare the lanes. And Silco's like, so you would die for the cause, but you're not going to fight for one.
But he already has fought for the cause.
Yeah, that's the thing that I just have such a hard time with, like that mindset. But I am not like I am not a power hungry person in this like an ambitious person in this sense. Like I would speak Harry Potter houses. I would never be in Slytherin. It just like those types of things. Like I'm not interested in those. And he is, he has that 100%. Energy. And I think that obviously being a very ambitious person is like very admirable. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But just like when you have this ambition to be like all powerful.
Yeah, because like it's ambition, but it's also you have to be ruthless.
Yes, yeah. And I'm just like
do whatever it takes. Which is what he said in the previous episode.
Yeah. I'm like, it's just not worth it. Like I would just rather live like a peaceful life.
Who wants
I'm
that?
A Hufflepuff. Clearly. It just is like, I'm like, it's not worth it to me, which I think Vander would be too at this point, or a Gryffindor. Hufflepuff or Gryffindor. So anyway, so basically, Vander's like, I'm not that man anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not interested in that. And Silco is definitely not happy with this response. And he's like, I'll show you what you really are. And I was like, okay. What are you gonna do? I guess he's like everybody's got the beast inside them. I'm like,
is what Silco thinks.
I don't know if it's like if you are literally like, what is it called when you give someone no other option? Exactly. That's why I'm like I don't think that really proves your point, Silco.
It doesn't matter like if you force someone to fight, of course they will, but it's a matter of like Vander's choosing not to be that man. He's chosen not to be that man. So like it's not spoiler. It's not until he's literally lost thinks he's lost everything and everyone that he finally starts fighting. Yeah. And but maybe that's fighting to maybe have a chance to get someone back. Like,
So again, it's not for him, it's to save someone.
It's never. He'll always sacrifice himself.
Which maybe that's what Silco's getting at, but I'm like, I just don't think that just shows that he sees that like the people he loves are worth protecting until the end. I don't see it as like, oh, you made him fight in the end.
No, exactly.
But we're not there yet, so I guess
we're not there. We'll say that.
Shouldn't go into it too much, but just when he was like, "I'll show you what you really are," I was like, I just don't think that proves your point in the way you think it's proving.
Well, maybe
point.
that's Silco's set because Silco thinks everyone is like that. Really,
like everyone has a beast,
and it makes him feel better about the things
himself.
he is doing.
That
He's doing horrible things. So he's like, but I'm just doing what I need to do for the greater good, which is Zorn. And the people of Zorn, the Undercity nation is going to be called Zorn.
Yeah.
And that's how he sleeps at night. It's like, everyone would do it. I just have the guts.
Yeah. I've got the guts. And I'm going to show you.
To get my hands
you
dirty.
Would do it in the end too.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so then we leave the cannery and then we're back in Piltover with our favorite couple, Vice, our favorite non-confirmed couple. I'm calling them Vice.
Non-confirmed is putting it lightly.
Yeah. I'm calling them Vice.
Non-confirmed.
If not forever, just for this episode. They're pulling their little B&E when they get caught by Mel. And then their reactions are so different and so funny. So Jace is like, oh, counselor, wow, what a surprise. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that you were out here tonight. But then Victor says, what? This isn't my bedroom. And then I was like, I didn't even think about it when we were watching the reaction. But afterward, I was like, wait, he was fine with Mel thinking he was sneaking off to his bedroom with Jace.
Or it's just the first thing he thought of.
I'm just saying.
So.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I feel like that at least confirms that he is definitely bi, or like it's like wouldn't it be unusual for him to be taking a guy back to his bedroom?
Sure.
I'm just saying.
That's that, yeah. Yeah.
And he wants it to be Jace. So then Jace like immediately kind of starts trying to pitch to Mel. He's like, okay, she's not fooled. So let me just pitch to her like why she should let us pull this off. And then Victor tells her that they've apparently found out how to stabilize it. Mel's like, well, what does that even matter? Because like the council will just have you destroy it, even if you have figured that out anyway. And Victor's like, no, I think that Heimerdinger will recognize the potential and that like we'll be able to continue like working. And there is this moment where she recognizes Victor as Heimerdinger's assistant, but Jace is like, no, he's my partner now. Yes. So like we're in this together.
That's cute.
Jace.
Vice.
So then, Jace just like is like really trying to pitch it to her, telling her all the things that she wants to hear in the sense of like she does want something like this to happen in Piltover. She wants there to be this like revolutionary development, invention, something. Yeah. So he's just saying all this so that she'll kind of like let them continue with this B&E. And she's like, okay, fine. I'm going to give you one night to try and like figure out whatever you're trying to figure out to try and pull this off and like prove to me that this is like, worth it. So then she like intervenes with the guard so he doesn't see them. And I feel like he would have heard them, but it's fine.
Unless he had the best soundproofing headphones ever.
Yeah, he's just listening to a little podcast, you know.
Which kind of eliminates the point of him being a guard if he's not listening. But.
Hey, I'm sure that is the norm for every night guard, though. Just They're like, the one night, like there's like one night in every year where they actually have to be paying attention because there's like something weird going on. So then we're back in Zon with the kids again. Vi has just come home and reveals that Benzo is dead, and that they took Vander. So she doesn't know who, but she does say that whoever killed Benzo was like nothing that she has ever seen, and it completely tore him apart. So they all get ready to head to the old cannery. But then Vi like notices Powder is like standing there ready to go with her little bag, and she's like, no, you cannot come. It's too dangerous. And even though Powder's like, I want to fight, Vi ends up like, not like yelling at her, but like sternly saying, you're like, not ready.
You ain't coming. Not to this one.
And she's like, you're all I have left. I can't lose you, which I think is her way of kind of trying to make up for saying that she isn't ready. But I really do even though I knew it hurt Powder to hear that she wasn't ready, I think that Vi is just really trying to get her to realize that like she could die. Like something really awful could happen to her. Like she's obviously just, it's like really scary.
This isn't a fun Ocean's 11 heist, like episode 1.
Yeah. This isn't a little robbery.
This is life and death.
This isn't a B&E.
This isn't a B&E. No, this is
another B&E.
And it's just, if they just needed to give her something to do.
Well, this is where I was like, why did they not leave her and Echo together?
Yeah,
it was crazy to me that she was left alone.
In that state.
I know the kids are just trying to go and get Vander, like their tunnel vision on like we just have to save Vander, and I totally get that. And also they're like teenagers, so their brains aren't even fully developed yet. But I was like, if for no other reason than knowing that Powder was with someone would be
about how she's feeling.
Well, just so to make sure she would stay there.
Yeah, because
it's like what
all she has to do is think about the fact that she's not there. That she doesn't know if they're alive or not, and that they thought they'd rather be there without her than be there with her. Yeah. Like, so that, like, it's
so that was crazy to me that I would not have left her alone. No, I would have asked Echo and her to stay together. So then there's like this real quick flashback where we see Jace and Victor like trying to stabilize the gem. Then we're back with Powder.
That's the scene where Jace is like, are you sure you know what you're doing? To Victor. Which is funny because Victor's only been involved for like a day. and he's already like taking charge. That's how invested he is currently.
Love you, Victor. And then we're suddenly back with Powder, who is having like, she's kind of having like a manic episode almost.
She is
really in a bad place. Yeah. Like, and like she's by herself again.
And I don't use that like hysterical light.
No. It's really she's
scary.
Like gone off the edge. And like, honestly, like I get it. Like everyone's just left. She doesn't, like you said, she doesn't know know what's going to happen to anyone. She doesn't know if they're even going to come back. She just has no idea what's going on. Just her and Echo should have been left together. I don't understand. Because I'm assuming then both of them are just alone. Because Echo would just be sitting by himself in his little lookout area or whatever. But then Powder sees the gems and is like, I can help them. So they arrive at the cannery, the kids, not Powder yet. And Vi's like, okay, we're just going to get in and out. We're just going to get him and then we're going to go. Once again, we are back in Piltover. Things seem to be going well with this gem until there's a sudden explosion that then like absorbs back in. So it like reverses itself. And then I think Jace is the one that does manage to like hit the button to disengage it. And everything like goes back to like as if nothing happened. And Victor's like, incredible. And I was like, I don't know if that's the word I would use. I was like, that looked really scary.
Incredibly
like, really?
Dangerous.
Yeah. I was like, okay, sure. So then we're back with Vi and the boys. Vander is like found pretty easily. They get to him kind of no problem, which Vander immediately realizes is flag. What Silco wanted. Yes. So he's like, oh my God, you have to get out of here. You got to go.
He asks them, how'd you get in so easily? And Vi's like, we just came through the window.
Yeah, there's a window. It's open. We just came right in.
They left the window open. It's like, oh no, Vi.
And then sure enough, Silco and his goons appear. Silco reveals that he's going to tell everyone in Zon that Vander and his kids fled down the river instead of what's actually about to happen, which is he's just going to kill Vander and all these kids.
And they were never seen again.
It's crazy. So then pretty much like right at this moment, Powder arrives at the docks with her crystal or the gems and begins scaling the outside of the cannery. Vi has Vander's cast irons. And so she's going to fight this like tattooed baldy guy.
Tattooed baldy.
Tattooed baldy.
Yeah, that's what we'll call him for now on. I like it. It's very descriptive.
Tattooed baldy goon.
Yeah. Tattooed baldy goon. Head goon.
But so she ends up knocking him out like first hit, no problem. So he just looks scary. He's like, a big softy.
It's a big uppercut, right? She does. And it almost reminds me of like, you know, in those shampoo commercials where someone does like
lifts their head.
That and like the hair, like the water goes, ooh, it's like that, but with blood.
But with blood. Yeah, she knocks this guy out first hit. Everyone else, all the other goons like swarm her, but she's able to hold her own. And I was like, go Vi, go. She's like teenagers like kicking all these adults' asses. It was so good.
All that training at the arcade is
the arcade. Yeah, exactly. So Milo's trying to pick the lock on Vander's chains. And there's this really nice moment where Vander's like, Milo, take a breath. You can do this. And he's like,
supported.
And that's exactly what Milo needed because he like is able to kind of like refocus then and like really like, dial in on what he's doing. So meanwhile, Clagger is looking for a wall to bust down or like bust out so they can break out. And it seems like he's found the perfect sweet spot because he says, yeah, we're going to get you out. And he like looks pretty confident. So while Vi is like essentially like kicking everyone's asses, Silco gives Deckard another dose of the purple drank. And he like looks like he's already like addicted to it. Like he's like really dependent on it already. Cause he chugs that so fast. So then I shouldn't be laughing, but Deckard just like immediately takes out one of his like fellow goons. Like
you're not going to do anything. Get out of my way.
Get out of my way. But then I was again just very impressed by Vi as a character from the beginning. She just like fearlessly runs at Deckard in his purple drank,
giant
veiny
jumping punch.
Madness. Yeah. Obviously Deckard like just like grabs her out of the air, no problem. But the fact that she didn't even like hesitate for a moment. She just was like, okay, I have to take this guy down. Like, she just was so brave from the beginning. Vander and Powder, who is on the outside, like she's pretty high up on the side of the cannery now, both see Vi get grabbed by the neck. Vander immediately is like pleading with Silco to let Vi go because it's between them. And he's like, you don't have to involve the kids. And Silco's like, you had your chance, but it's too late now. So Vi ends up like crawling away from Deckard. I'm guessing I can't remember, but I'm assuming he just like dropped her and then
like kind of,
and she ends up crawling far enough away from him that she manages to slam the door shut to the room that Vander is like being held chained in. The chair, yeah. And then Vander's like, good, you did good, great. So then once again, I told you we're back and forth. We're back in Piltover. So there's like this very furious and cute Heimerdinger racing down the hall.
He says like underfoot.
Oh yeah, later,
says,
yeah.
And he's so clearly.
Is
this not now?
Not yet. Almost though. Almost.
I'll save it.
It's just the shot of him furiously rushing down the hall with the enforcer. I think we did rewind it, and I was like, "He's so cute! He's cute. So cute.
He's cute.
Oh my gosh. But I would never want him to be mad at me. If he made that face, I would be so upset. So the enforcers managed to break down the door just as it appears. Just sorry to clarify, as the gemstone manages to stabilize successfully, and then this is when. He
says, underfoot, look out, because he's like under people's feet.
So literally used to having to say that.
Instead of saying like, oh, on your left, like on your back, he literally has had to tell people,
I'm underfoot.
Under your feet. Don't step on me, please.
Yeah.
Because he's probably been think how many times he's been stepped on.
No, I don't want to.
It's so sad.
Jace and Victor are up like floating amongst what sort of looks like it's like a magical like constellation, like energetic
like blue electromagnetic field.
Where gravity doesn't exist apparently.
Yeah, weightless.
And there's a couple really good quotes from Heimerdinger here. So he's about to say, just because it can't be done doesn't mean it should be. But then he interrupts himself when he's like, will you please stop hovering?
Yeah, he's trying to have a moment of like introspection and making a big, sincere statement. And they're just like hovering around.
But then he does manage to get out. This is not what Piltover's future looks like, my dear boys.
Yeah.
So he's like, I know that you mean well, but I don't know if this is like for the best in the end.
Which just shows how committed he is to his principles.
I know.
Like, he's seen it.
He wants to take care. He's like Vander. He wants to take care of his people in a safe way. Of
course. He said from the beginning, like, even if you could stabilize it, he never said you couldn't. He said you should.
Yeah, he was like,
okay.
just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Still shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, he's, man of principle.
But even though Heimerdinger doesn't think this is what the future looks like Mel appears from the hall and says that is for the council to decide. And then Mel says, perhaps it's time for the era of magic. But Jace corrects her and says, Hextech, the era of Hextech. Yeah. And Heimerdinger is clearly like,
Eek.
I don't know how I feel about this.
Yes, he's conflicted.
We go back to the docks. Powder puts 2 gemstones into her little monkey bomb and is like, you have to work for me. She winds him up and sends him walking towards Deckard, and he manages to like get to Deckard and go off.
The symbols on the gemstone.
Symbols.
Like, bang.
Yeah. Just as Clagger busts open the wall to get Vander out, and Milo is able to open the last lock that is on, I think, one of his feet, if I'm remembering it correctly. Yeah. In this moment, there is a huge explosion, and like I think they do 3 different shots of this, which was really cool. Like it's the same explosion, but from 3 different perspectives. So there's a ton of stuff that happens in this moment. So Savika loses her arm, pushing Silco out of the way of the blast. There's a rush of flames that end up like running along the veins of the shimmer that the doctor has been developing, or in the scientist doctor, whatever he is. And it rushes into his lab. And then we can see through the window of the lab, there's just this giant purple explosion. Yeah. So we assume he's either been burned alive or severely burned. The gemstone flies past one gemstone, I guess, because the other one would have just immediately exploded. Whatever gemstone is like still in existence, like darts past Vander and Vi, but makes contact with the ceiling. And honestly, I had to watch this back a couple times, and it was really sad because it's obviously like when the boys die, and it was really hard to see exactly what happened with Clagger. I think the impact just hits him so hard that he just like instantly died. It was either the impact from it hitting the ceiling, like ricocheting off the ceiling and hitting his like goggles or when he hit the back of his head on the wall. So I think he just instantly is like dead. There's a giant piece of like, it's like it's like a pole, but I'm assuming it's like shrapnel.
Milo gets impaled.
He gets impaled.
Rebar shrapnel.
Through his chest, but he is still alive at first. And I'm pretty sure that we see a very quick shot, like an insert shot of his ankle bone breaking. Like it snapped.
Yeah.
So he has this in his chest. He looks over to see that Clagger's just like lying there, and then the ceiling just like collapses on him. And then we also see Marcus, his like witness this from like several blocks away. So Vander comes to first out of everyone, and he looks around and basically to
Powder is thrown out the window.
Oh, that's true. Yes. Powder is launched.
Powder's launched out the window, and it's like the happiest we've ever seen her look.
Yeah. She's like so happy because her bomb has finally worked. And there is specifically a shot of the rabbit flying through the air, illuminated by the blue. Vander, when he comes to, looks around, and at this point, Vi isn't moving. So he thinks all of the kids are dead in this moment. And he's like devastated. But then, first I should say Silco. So it goes, Vander comes to, Silco comes to. Silco tells Deckard to kill them. After he looks at Savica, who's lying on the ground. And then Vander hears Vi crying and then realizes that she is still alive. So he somehow manages to lift himself out of the rubble. I was like, again, how strong is Vander? Like, he is so strong. He is like
full.
Yeah.
He's the strongest man.
Yeah, he is the Hulk of the Arcane universe. I was like, what? So he like pushes himself out of the rubble, and then he like somehow manages, I think he like pulls it off of something, but he kind of gets these hooks that are like basically like brass knuckles kind of.
Yeah,
like,
he like makes some makeshift gauntlets. Yeah. They're like little hooks.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they were part of his restraints or something. But
could be. And then he just like basically comes out to take down the rest of the goons and Deckard. So then Vi sees that Milo and Clagger have been killed, and then also sees the monkey head. So she like kind of like puts 2 and 2 together, and she starts crying. Vander ends up like fighting Deckard, but then Silco out of nowhere rushes up behind him and like stabs him once in the back, and then once again when Vander like turns around to face him. And so then Vander ends up grabbing his throat, which is when Silco like stabs him again. But then Vander does let go. And there is kind of this like exchange of this altercation and the one where Silco almost drowned.
Yeah, because that's what in that altercation, Silco
drowned.
Got Vander's knife out of his pocket and stabbed him.
Yes, so it is revealed that it confirmed for sure it was Vander, and then also the only reason that Silco got away was because he grabbed Vander's other knife, or I guess maybe the only knife he had. He grabbed Vander's knife while he was drowning him and stabbed him in the forearm. Hence why we got that shot of him referencing his, like whatever is covering up the scar on his forearm. So there is a tense moment where they're like staring at each other. Obviously he's like still holding Silco by the neck, and then he ends up releasing him. To which Silco says, "I knew you still had it in you," before pushing Vander off whatever this like raised bridge thing is, and down into the flames. And this is where I first made the note that I was like, I don't think this proves what you think it proves, Silco. Like, I just was like,
he had nothing left.
Also, he gave up. He didn't. He did grab your throat, but he didn't kill you in the end. Like,
well, I thought that was just him losing strength because he's been stabbed 3 times.
Oh, no, I think that was a conscious decision.
You think he's...
I mean, I don't know if...
want to just kill him for the sake of killing him if he's already lost everyone?
I just think that he was like, I can't... It's the whole, like, do you even have humanity left at that point if you do that? Do you know what I mean? Like, I know it's in defense of yourself or whatever, but I think that was why he was like, because I think a part of him knew, he was like, I'm literally doing exactly what you want me to do right now, aren't I? The only thing that I don't know is obviously because he is trying to protect the kids, but we have an answer to that literally right after this.
Yeah.
What he does after this.
No,
so when it's himself, I think he is willing to just
He's
like die for the cause. Yeah.
Than kill someone and die because the killing match doesn't. Okay.
So I was like, I don't think this.
Maybe.
No, Silco. I don't think this proves what you think it proves.
It doesn't.
But okay, Silco tells Deckard to find the girl. Vander hears this from down below where he's fallen, and we see a shot of him like reaching out for one of the vials of the purple drink. Because he just fell onto like a shit ton of vials.
Fell down off the bridge walkway thing into the.
Yeah. So as Deckard is closing in on Vi, Vander reemerges. He is also now glowing with purple veins. He yanks Deckard away from Vi and then just pretty much like smashes his head like instantly.
It's not a competition.
No.
He
was already holding his own before.
He didn't need the purple.
He is so strong.
And now he has the purple.
So he does briefly see Silco in his like maddened like purple drank state. But instead of going after him, he chooses to save Vi instead, which I didn't realize is a little bit of like a teaser.
That's what I wanted to say. So if you're a League of Legends player, or my friend Kira,
or my friend,
was this the first moment that
you were like, oh,
this is a hint of who he then becomes?
Yeah. Did you know at this?
Did this give
point?
it away, or is it different enough that
that's a good question.
I'd be interested to hear if people had that theory before this, or if this is what started it. So Vi wakes up with Vander outside the cannery, which is now like completely engulfed in flames, and his last words to her are "Take care of Powder." So then he appears to die, and that's all I'm going to say about that right now. Vi lets out a devastated scream, and then right after that, Powder comes around the corner all excited because one of her bombs finally worked. So as I was watching this, I said to Michael, I was like, I knew I was going to have to watch this scene again, and I just like, this scene affects me probably more than like any scene has in years. Like it just really, I said this during the reaction, I am an older sister of just one sister. So like I'm a 2-sister family, you know? And I just like, oh my God, it's just so upsetting. It's so upsetting. And I feel for both of them because it is such a difficult situation. But at the end of the day, like Powder didn't know, and she was a child. She didn't mean to, but also she
I
know what was going to happen if it did work.
Vi just lost so many people. I mean, they both did, but like Vi just saw.
Well, I even think Vi could have handled knowing Powder did it if Powder wasn't just so happy about it. Wasn't so gleeful.
Maybe,
I did it. Like just so many things lead to what happens next.
Yeah. So the order of events I do feel like is important. So Vi asks Powder, "You did this?" I was looking to see when Powder notices Vander, and she sees him lying there after Vi asks, "You did this?" And because she's taking in what happened, that is when Vi says, "Why? Why did you do this?" And Powder then responds by saying, "I was saving you. Like I was trying to save you." And then she sees Clagger's bloody goggles on the ground. So she starts to break down because she's realizing not only is it Vander, like she's also essentially like kind of responsible for the boys dying as well. And then she just starts like desperately saying that she only wanted to help. And then
really sad. To
which Vi's like, "I told you to stay away." And then Vi like slaps Powder. So I do want to say it is pretty instant that Vi like, well, hold on. Okay. Hold on. So Vi slaps her. Powder responds by asking, "Why did you leave me?" Which is a valid question because I really do not think that Powder should have been left alone.
Me on my own. Why did you not?
Vi is just like lost it at this point though. So we haven't seen her this way before. This is our first time seeing her like this. So she says, because you're a jinx, you hear me, Milo was right.
Yeah.
And then this is when she gets like taken out of it because she's like holding Powder's face. Yeah. She sees her nose bleeding and she sees Powder's blood on her own hand. And she's like, oh my God. So then she's like upset with herself, but she's so upset with Powder. So I think what happens is Vi just needs a second.
She needs a moment to recompose.
I never thought that Vi was actually abandoning Powder. I know that is not what Powder thinks though.
Yeah.
Powder is fully believes that Vi is like abandoning her in this moment. 100% believes it. But I don't think that was ever.
Well, because Powder's blaming herself.
Like,
so she maybe she feels like she's
and she's just saying like, I need you, please, Vi, I need you, you know, as Vi like walks away and she kind of like walks around the corner and just like into an alleyway and then like settles down because she's like in pain herself. And then I couldn't remember, is this the first time we hear Powder call her Violet rather than Vi? Because she very specifically says, Violet, I need you.
Yeah.
And this also is just like a masterclass in voice acting because whoever does like young Powder's voice is
just the way she repeats I was only trying to help.
I know.
It's so powerful.
And I need you when she leaves. Like, oh my God. Yeah. Like again, I've seen this scene so many times, but I was like crying as I was taking my notes. My eyes were like welling up with tears. So unfortunately, Silco hears her screaming. Her is in Powder. So he comes around the corner and we see that he is holding a knife in his hand, considering what to do. He's like standing over her. So Violet sees this and immediately starts off back towards Powder to save her. But Marcus comes out of nowhere and puts a rag over her mouth and nose to knock her out. So once again, it's clear that Violet did not want to leave Powder
it was
at
a few
all.
seconds.
Yeah. And she immediately tried to go back to her. Yeah.
But then forcibly is dragged away.
Yeah.
So
Silco and the few goons that are like still alive all are like surrounding Powder. He's like, hello, little girl.
He literally says the wolf's line from Into Woods, hello, little girl.
Hello, little girl, where is your sister?
Yeah.
And then Powder like kind of looks up at him and considers for a second. And then she does this like very bizarre tackle hug.
Yeah, I mean, she's very lucky. She's lucky she didn't get taken out by some of the goons.
Yeah, Savika's out of commission right now. So violent, she couldn't intervene. But when she tackle hugs him, he like falls to the ground and then like drops his knife. And then Powder says, she left me. She's not my sister anymore.
Yeah.
So this is like music to Silco's ears. He's like, oh, perfect. This is like, just what I want to hear.
A vulnerable soul that I can meld.
Exactly. Yeah. Like we're
twisted worldview.
What's like the term for like, two peas in a pod?
Two peas in a pod. Two people betrayed by our
we're both
older
just victims.
Siblings.
Yeah.
We're both victims.
So
You're like me.
Yeah. So he embraces her and then basically comforts her. And he's like, it's all right. We're going to show him. We're going to show him all. Yeah. And then Powder's eye opens purple. It is purple. When her eye opens, it is purple. And I am just so curious what this is about. I know obviously it's like signaling that she's like forever changed and there's she's kind of like going to the dark side in some way. I understand that. I just mean, is there actually some shimmer in her
like how
system? Are we supposed to believe she is actually physically changed in a specific way? Because literally like 10 seconds before this, there's a very intentional shot of her and her eyes are still blue.
Yeah.
The only other thing I could think of is that her eyes are blue and maybe the light from the flame reflecting into her eyes is supposed to create purple. But if anyone knows, if anyone has heard like the creators actually come out and say why, because I just think it's like, I'm so fascinated by that shot.
We know what it represents, but how did it happen?
And like, what are they really trying to say with it? Like, is it just representing something, or is there actually something chemical that has happened? And that's it. That is the end of episode 3.
That is episode 3.
Yeah.
And has a really cool transition to the credits as well, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. It's like this little like keyhole. Yeah.
It's so cool.
And then that's also like the end of Act 1, basically. So episode 4, we're going to be moving into.
Oh,
Act 2.
Well, thank you, Ari, for taking us through that episode.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good one. It might be the best one. I don't know.
Maybe.
It's definitely the one I think about the most.
Oh my God. It's the most there's a lot of I have a very intense reaction to a lot of things that happen in this episode for sure.
Yeah, you can watch that on our reaction that we did on our Patreon.
Yep.
It was
fun
to watch, but hard to watch.
Yeah, that
because we knew what was coming. Yeah. And it was just like, oh, do we really have to?
I know. I was like, I really don't want to watch this again.
And we watched it just before this, so it was like we have to watch it a third time, a fourth time.
Yeah.
Join us next time for Lovers of Law for episode 4.
Episode 4. We will be back.
Well, we'll see what's happening with all this blue magic. We will be back.
Hex Tech.
Okay, Lovers of Law. Until next time.
Thank
you for watching. Bye. Bye.